Greetings from the studio. This is your captain speaking. Aviate Nate here. As part of my Flying the Commonwealth series, I thought it would be interesting to show you how I plan these flights, from choosing the airports, planning the route, and just making sure I'm not missing anything before I ever head to the hangar. So today, we're going to use the first mission in the Flying the Commonwealth series as an example, and I'll show you my process.
Clear to land, runway 21, Mooney 58 X-ray.
There are a total of 65 airports that one must fly to in order to achieve the full gold medal status of the challenge. And so I went to see how many airports there are in Virginia that qualify for the challenge. There are 65. So there is no wiggle room here. There are no optional airports. It is every airport is a requirement. So I got 65 airports to figure out. So I turned to my trusty iPad and I started to break things up. And what I'm going to do is share my screen of my iPad with you all so you can kind of see what I am going over as I am exploring this, and that way hopefully you can get an idea of kind of what I do when I'm planning these flights. Okay, so 65 airports. Not too many, but enough that it's hard to just draw them out on a map. So what I did was I used a Google Sheet and I created a document, a spreadsheet, that lists all 65 airports. I've got their identifier codes so that it's easy to do routes and planning. The longest runway I've also listed because I'm pretty specific about what kind of runways I want to land the Mooney on. There are a few questionable ones on this list, but we'll talk about that in a moment. And then I have a column for condition. If the runway condition was described as poor or fair, I made a note of that just so that I can be aware of that as I'm planning. The distance from KEZF Shannon Airport, my hangar is there, so the distance, as well as whether they're in the SFRA, the Special Flight Rules area. That's that column F there. We'll talk about the Special Flight Rules area when I show you the map. And then the quadrant. I split them into 4 quadrants based on where they were in a straight line direction from my starting point, so that I had kind of smaller groups of airports to look at. So once I had them into quadrants, I then created routes. The text is very small and hard to see, but essentially each one of these routes here represents a different quadrant. So we have the northwest quadrant without the Special Flight Rules area, we'll get into why, as well as the southeast quadrant, which is kind of all the coastal stuff, and then the southwest quadrant, which, boy, is packed with stuff. Like, if you know what Virginia looks like, it's got a big, long southwestern corner, and it gets pretty extreme. So anyway, those are our kind of predetermined routes, and these routes, I use a little bit of AI to help me. They are basically like a circle around all the airports, so a very efficient route around everything, touching each airport just one time. So what I think we'll do for this is we're going to use the northwest quadrant route to start with. It's the shortest route. We're just gonna get into this thing with the shortest route and really just kind of see what we're getting into. So I'm going to copy this text here, and I'm just going to have it on my clipboard here, select all, and copy. And then I'm going to head over into ForeFlight. Now, I'm using ForeFlight because that's what I'm familiar with, and I have a subscription to ForeFlight, but you can use any electronic flight bag for these planning purposes. You can even use sectional charts and your E6B. You know, there's no requirements on how you do flight planning. This is just how I do flight planning. I find ForeFlight to be very convenient, and it takes a lot of the math out of the equation. So anyway, I'm here at the maps screen. I'm just going to paste in my route. That's all I'm going to do here is basically just take the route that I have. Oh, you know what? I actually can't do this. I'll show you how I worked around it. I ran into this last night where you can't just paste in this route box, which is really obnoxious. So what I did was I created flights based around these routes. So I did a little bit of pre-planning before I turned the camera on. You might suspect that. But I have my routes here as individual flights in ForeFlight with the route already pasted in. So what I'm going to do is show you the northwest quadrant route. We're going to send it to the map. Here it is. So these are the airports in that northwest quadrant, and it's actually a pretty nice little circle. If you look at the details at the top here, the entire route is only just over 200 nautical miles, 215 nautical miles to touch every airport in the northwest quadrant that is required for this challenge, so that's awesome. If I flew them all in a straight line without actually stopping at the airport, I could complete the circuit in 1 hour and 36 minutes in the Mooney, which is great, and I would only burn 17.5 gallons of gas. really cool. See what I mean about the math? So I put in my performance information for my airplane, and the system here knows how to calculate fuel and time and all these great things. So let's look at this route. This is too many airports for one day. I think I can do 4. I'm gonna try to do 4 on this first mission on my first attempt here. So what I wanna do is just kind of knock off airports I'm not gonna be flying to. I think I'm gonna go to just the closest 4 here. So we're starting at Shannon down here. And actually, you know, it looks like this airport here, OMH, Orange County, probably was grouped in with the southwest quadrant because of where it sits, but if I'm gonna fly right over it, that's silly. So here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna go Shannon to that airport, and we're gonna come up here and we're gonna do this Culpeper, CJR. We're gonna do Warrenton here, and then we're gonna do Stafford, KRMN, and back to Shannon. That's a sensible first route. That would be 4 stops. They're all close enough. I think we can do it. So I'm just gonna start removing a few things from this route here, just so that we can get down to the stuff we want. So remove from route. If you know a faster way to do any of these things that I'm doing, post them in the comments, because I'm always down to learn more stuff about ForeFlight. ForeFlight is an extremely useful tool, and I feel like there's always something else to learn about it. We want to add another airport. You can see my route's gotten kind of twisted up here because I didn't add the other airport yet, which is this one, KOMH. So we're going to add it right after Shannon. It'll be my first destination, KOMH, which is, I've already forgotten. It is Orange County. Perfect. So we go to Orange County, and then, yeah, KCJR. Oh, okay, I got to move one. So we're going to move CJR over here before Warrenton. Why does this still not look right? Oh, because Shannon needs to be at the beginning. There we go, perfect. So now we have a good looking route. Starting at Shannon, KEZF, going west to Orange County, up to Culpeper, then to Warrenton, then right down here to Stafford, and back to Shannon. That's 1, 2, 3, 4 airports. I can get 4 stamps in my first mission. How about that? This entire route here that we're looking at now, we're down to just 36 minutes of total flying time, plus less than 8 gallons of gas. Crazy. I figure each airport will probably have another 30 minutes of time required. I'm gonna have to land, park, tie the airplane down, or just park it, secure it, find the office, find the stamp, make small talk, get back in the plane, use the bathroom, whatever. So 30 minutes per airport, I figure, is a safe, you know, margin of time to add to this whole thing. So let's configure on 30 minutes at each airport. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4 airports, 30 minutes each, 2 more hours on top of the 36 minutes to fly this. So 36 minutes plus the, what do we say, 2 hours? Yeah, 2 hours is fine. So let's call it 3 hours of total mission time for our first Flying the Commonwealth mission. This is cool. So we're getting close here to being able to, you know, go fly it. But before we do that, I want to do something that I recommend everybody do who is flying to a new airport for the first time. This is something that a friend of mine showed me, and I just think it makes so much sense. This is not a flying tool I'm going to show you. This is Google Maps. Everybody has access to Google Maps if you have a device like this, and you can get it online. So Google Maps, free service. The reason I suggest Google Maps is you can go and look at the airports. You know, you might have noticed on the sectional chart back there in ForeFlight, you know, this is a chart. If you know how to read sectional charts, there's a ton of really great information in here. There is also nothing really alarming along this route. You know, another part of my planning would be working around hazards if I noticed any, but these are all uncontrolled airports. There is really nothing to work around as far as avoiding. The biggest risk here is that they're so close together that you'll basically still be in a climb configuration when you're looking into the pattern at the next airport. So they're pretty tight. And of course, the big red circle. What's the big red circle, Nate? The big red circle is the special rules flight area that I talked about. This is, if you've ever flown in the DC area, this is important to understand. There's actually a class you have to take to understand what the SFRA, the special flight rules area, is. But just taking the class doesn't build the confidence you need to actually do it and follow the procedures. So stay tuned to this channel because I'll be doing it soon, actually, flying into the special flight rules area for my first time. And I'll share with you that process and hopefully teach you a thing or two along the way. But for all of our planning for this one, we're going to be staying out of it and just making sure we do not get anywhere near that big red circle. Okay, so back to what I was talking about with the Google Maps. We're gonna head over to Google Maps and we're gonna take a look at these airports, because the chart will show you a lot of pertinent information, a lot of information that you will not find on a Google map. But you can also get a look at the airport. So how about that? That's cool, right? You've probably done this before, but now we're looking at this airport that I've never seen this airport before. I'll see it for the first time when I'm flying over it in my airplane, needing to make some critical decisions about, is the runway sufficient, all that stuff. So I just like to run over this real quick, make sure that I don't see anything along the approach line of the runway that isn't marked on the chart. There's a little road here and looks like a house and stuff, but I don't see any towers or anything that would be an obstacle to be concerned with. Same thing on this end, 2-6. You know, a few more trees, houses, that kind of thing, but looks pretty good. I assume that the airport I'll be going to, or the FBO, the office where the stamp is probably going to be this building right over here, where the parking lot is for the airplanes. So really easy to operate. So I feel good about that. Let's check the next one, because Culpeper is another airport that would be my second stop on this leg, or on this mission, and never been here before either. So here we have another airport. Great, lovely, paved runway, nice and long, cool, looks good. Same deal, I'm going to check the ends. Looks like we cross over a road, so that's good. Power lines are always an issue around roads, but we'll just be on the watch out for that. And then of course here on the other end we've got runway 22, looking good. Might even have some approach lighting here. That'd be cool. Oh, what's this? Buford's Knoll walking trail. All right. Yeah, Buford's Knoll, cool. We may have found our first side quest for the mission. So Buford's Knoll, I love a good walking trail. Historical landmark. Okay, I'll look up Buford's Knoll and see if that's worth the distraction. So these things look fine. I like the look of these airports. I've been to the other two. So I've been to Stafford, I've been to Warrenton, Fauquier, Warrenton, and I've also been to Stafford a few times. I've never gone inside and tried to get the stamp, which is going to be different about this time. We're going to park, we're going to go in, we're going to meet the people, we're going to get our stamp. It's going to be cool. But these next two, I don't think I really need to look at the Google map. I'm already familiar with those airports. And then back to Shannon. So this should be a pretty quick and easy trip. Sometimes I regret saying those things, like this will be a boring trip, and then it's not. But from what I can see here, the first mission in Flying the Commonwealth should be pretty achievable. Now the last thing I want to do, now that I've got my route figured out, I know the times and the fuel required, I know that my destinations look good as far as I can see on Google Maps, is to do a weather briefing. And ForeFlight makes weather briefing super easy. I customize my route by picking the airports I want. So I'm going to send this flight back to the flights section in ForeFlight. The flight section is where we actually give the system details about the flight that it doesn't have on the maps page, like when we want to fly this mission. So I have to work Monday through Friday, so I'm going to fly this mission Saturday, and hopefully the weather will be good enough by Saturday to let me get the airplane out of the hangar. We got wintered pretty heavy, and it's been frozen and icy for a while, but I'm going to set this up for just a noon departure on Saturday. Now the weather briefing I'm going to run here is going to try to do its best, but that's several days away. So I would be a foolish pilot if I didn't check the weather briefing again the day of my trip, and I will always do that. But this way I'm set up, and I will go ahead and request my briefing, and ForeFlight's going to download that briefing for me and have at least a basic idea of what's happening inside the app already. So we can run through this real quick. I know this is probably this is maybe the least fun part of it, but also one of the most important parts. We want to look at all of our flight restrictions. These are about the special flight rules area. So these are all things that you just don't fly into Washington, D.C. Without approval. These charts are a prediction, but not very far in the future. This is only valid around the 4th of February here at midnight UTC. So not far enough in advance to give us the weather we need for the actual day of our flight, but that's okay. We're going to come back and check this again as we get closer and make sure that the surface analysis chart is something that we're comfortable with. Next up, going to be our METARs. These are the current conditions at all these airports. not very useful right now because we're not flying today. We're not flying for several days. So I'm actually going to skip the METARs. We're going to go into PIREPs, which is pilot reports of activity. These are same thing, real time. Pilots making reports about icing, about light rime ice, more icing, so it's cold out there. So icing reports, but like I said, these are right now, not Saturday. So we're going to skip this as well. Terminal area forecasts. This is important stuff. This is what the areas, the terminals, the airports are forecasting as far as weather in the future, but still not far enough out to get us the date we need. So we're just gonna wait on kind of adopting this weather information. For now, we're just gonna keep looking through this stuff. The wind chart, wow, it's extremely windy right now. This is not the time to be flying a small airplane. Nonetheless, all this information, super duper important, and it's worth running through this before the flight, the day of the flight, for sure. So this will also help me if I need to pick a different altitude based on the winds. But look at that, at 4,000 feet right now, 45 knot winds. NOTAMs, here's the NOTAMs. This is where we would see any information about that military operations area being active. So we do want to look through our NOTAMs. You can see them in plain text if you can't translate the NOTAM text. So ForeFlight makes that easy for you too. Our destination NOTAM, so this is going to be where we're going to. We're going to the same place though, so it's a little confused about that. But the en-route NOTAMs here, we can just make sure we don't have anything that is alarming as far as those military operation areas being active. The most important piece is just making sure that there is not a reason to cancel, that there isn't something critical happening at an airport that you weren't thinking about that can come up and surprise you. So I've run the weather briefing, but it's there for me. It'll tell me how old it is, calculated 4 minutes ago. But I have this weather briefing now and I can reference it the day that I fly, and I can keep checking it up until the date of my trip. And once I'm ready to go, I will pack for this flight. And what it will do is pick all of the chart information around this, my flight route. It will do it in a corridor. I think the corridor is like 8 miles or 4 miles. It's a pretty wide chunk of available space on all sides, and it just packs all that up for you, because when you're flying the airplane, you don't have access to cell data or Wi-Fi in most cases, and so having it right here on the device is the way to do it. So I'd pack the flight and be ready to go. And then when I want to fly, I just send the flight back to the map page, and all that data is sitting right here, ready for me to go and fly. We've got one more thing to do. I told you, flight planning, it's quite a bit. So here's something I do on paper on my kneeboard. I always make these sheets to help me with the critical pieces of information that I need throughout the flight. To show you what it looks like, I've used an app called GoodNotes to just kind of give you a digital representation, essentially, of what these sheets look like. So basically, I make a page like this for every airport that I'm going to be going to. So on a route like Saturday's route, where I've got 4 different airports, I'll have 4 different sheets with the start and end airport on each one. At the top, I like to just write the airport I'm at and the airport I'm going to and the altitude that I plan to fly that trip at. So in this case, Shannon to Orange County at 3,000 feet. The first top left box is my tachometer out and in, so that I can keep track of engine hours. As an airplane owner, you got to keep track of your engine hours, so I'll note those as I go. So top left, the airport where I will begin, KEZF, that's Shannon. The second line of information is the altitude at the airport. 85 feet is the airport elevation, 1,100 feet, rounded up, is the pattern, traffic pattern elevation that you'll fly when you enter the traffic pattern. And then my runway options, 06 and 24. So as I'm listening to the weather, I can quickly see what my options are and make the best runway decision. Next up on the right, you'll see the weather frequency, the AWOS frequency, and then the CTAF, or the Common Traffic Advisory frequency, where we talk to other pilots. I've got some space on the right to write down the weather when I hear it on the AWOS. Next up, enroute. If I were working with air traffic control, this is where I would write down the information they give me, the squawk code that they issue me, any other frequencies that they hand me off to. The en route section is a very busy section on a long cross-country flight, and we'll do some of those together. I'll show you how I plan for an actual cross-country with air traffic control, but this is just a very simple flight here. And then the last piece, the arrival airport, KOMH, Orange County. Once again, the elevation of the airport, 464 feet, so we'll be going up quite a bit from Shannon. And then 1464 is my traffic pattern altitude, where I want to enter the traffic pattern, my runways 08 and 26, so that I can listen to the AWOS right there on 118.075 and make a good decision about which side of the runway to enter. So those are my sheets. You know, I make them really to help myself out, because in those critical moments of flying, you don't want to be moving through your iPad and hitting it and trying to find the information and read the small print. I just like to have it strapped to my leg and allow me to make notes on it. So that's it. That is how I plan my flights. And I do that for all of my flights. Sometimes they're more involved, where I have to do air traffic control planning. Sometimes I have to do a long series of legs to work around obstacles. And if you're interested, I will show you all those things. If you found this video interesting, entertaining, informative, please give me a like. That way YouTube knows you're watching. I'll be flying this mission soon, as well as many others along the way as I do the Flying the Commonwealth challenge. Thanks so much for watching. Until the next one, this is Aviate Nate, and you can be my wingman anytime.
Clear to land, runway 21, Mooney 58 X-ray.